Now, let's look at how we use those things. So let's say we have this linear function over the interval from 0 to 4. We want to find an f of c that equals the average value over 0 to 4. So the first thing we have to do is find, well, what the heck is our average value? Okay. So we're going to set this up to find the average value first. So the average value, let me write that formula down for you, is 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of f of x dx. Okay. So we're going from 0 to 4, so let's plug everything in. So our b is 4, our a is 0. Our b is 4, our a is 0. And then our function is 8 minus 2x. Well, that's going to be 1/4 of the integral from 0 to 4 of 8 minus 2x. Now we know now how to do it without drawing the picture. We could have in, I think it was 5(2), we know that the integral represents the area under the curve. We could have drawn this curve. We would have got triangular, rectangular sections. We know how to do that. We could have found it. But I want to do it now using the actual antiderivative. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that we haven't seen yet. We'll do it in a minute. So we're going to do the antiderivative. So we're going to do the antiderivative of 8 is 8x. The antiderivative of 2x is 2x squared divided by 2, which is just x squared. And then I'm going to put a little reminder that I have these boundaries, 0 to 4. So you put a little straight line next to it, and you put your boundaries on this little straight line. Now, the way that this works is the integral from a to b is the antiderivative of b minus the antiderivative of a. So we can just take the antiderivative, plug in the upper bound, minus the antiderivative, plug in the lower bound. And we don't have to have the picture to find the area from 0 to 4. We can just do the integral and subtract the antiderivatives at those values. So if we look at 4, if we plug in 4, we get 1/4 of 32 minus 16. And then we're going to subtract the boundary when we plug in 0. So that's going to be 0 minus 0. Now, 0 does not always give you a 0 value if there happens to be some kind of, little something different there. So just be careful. I tend to write it down anyway. And then that's going to be 1/4 of 16 minus 0, which is 4. Okay. So the average value of this function, without drawing a picture, but just using our rules of integration, say that the average value is 4. So where will our average value be 4? Well, we want to find an f of c. So what the heck is f of c? Well, that's just 8 minus 2c. And we're looking for where will 8 minus 2c equal 4? Where will 8 minus 2c equal 4? Well, we're just going to solve for c, and then we will find the c value such that f of c is that average of 4. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. No, subtract 8 from both sides. We would get -4. We would divide by -2 to get 2. Our c value is 2. So at a c value of 2, we have the average of the entire function over that interval. Okay? So that is a problem with the average value. Any questions about how I did that? Okay. Here it says, again, it's the same exact problem. Same exact type of problem. We're just going to do it one more time. We want to find where the function equals 9, and we want to find a c such that f of c equals the average value of x squared over 0 to 3. Okay. So we know the integral from 0 to 3 of x squared dx equals 9. Now let's practice that. So the integral from 0 to 3 of x squared dx, they said was equal to 9. Let's practice. The power is going to go up by 1. We're going to divide by the new power. We're going to plug in the upper bounds. That's 27 over 3. Minus, we're going to plug in the lower bounds. That's 0 over 3. So that we do get 9. Okay. So the integral, when we have boundaries, we take the antiderivative, and it's the upper boundary minus the lower boundary. So let's find the c where the average value over 0 to 3. Now, what's the average value? What's the difference? Well, remember, the average is 1 over b minus a, integral from a to b of f of x dx. Now, let's plug in everything we know. The b is 3, the a is 0, our function is x squared. So this is 1 over 3 minus 0 from 0 to 3 of f of x dx. Now, we've already calculated that the integral from 0 to 3 is 9, so that's 1/3 times 9, or 3. So the average value is 3. So where will x squared equal 3? But let's make it a c so it feels better. Where will c squared equal 3? Well, how do you get rid of a square? Well, you do a square root, right? It's plus or minus the square root of 3. Now, which one of those is in the interval from 0 to 3? Is it positive square root of 3, negative square root of 3, or sometimes both? Positive. Just positive, so our answer is positive. So the value of c that equals the average value of 3 is square root of 3.